Less Than Expert has partnered again with Cozy Earth so we can offer you 21% off on luxurious bamboo bedding and pajamas loved by everyone from Oprah to Kris Jenner to Katie and myself and countless other customers. Get the ultimate softness and cooling comfort and enjoy this exclusive discount. So enter LTE at cozyearth.com. Introducing Copper North. Copper North offers 100% silk, copper-infused pillowcases. Copper is a natural antibacterial and collagen-boosting ingredient. It's going to help soften fine lines, reduce inflammation and breakouts, and help maximize your skincare routine overnight. It'll smooth your hair, minimize frizz, and add a touch of indulgence to every night's rest. Visit coppernorth.com and enter LTE at checkout for your 15% off.
Introducing Zevo Life, an exclusive patented superfood. This is going to help us all get our greens and our vitamins, and they harvest plant protein. So if you're on a protein crazed diet like Katie and I are right now, this is a really good option to supplement. I love taking my greens in the morning when I first start my day.
I feel like I'm getting a daily dose of vegetables and vitamins.
Yeah.
Protein. Awesome.
The greens are good for your hair, for your skin, for your digestion. Zevo Life is giving our listeners 30% off. So go to zevo.life and enter promo code LTE at checkout. We have found a fantastic skincare brand called Love Indus, and they sell Botox in a tube.
And I can attest, I've been using it for a couple of weeks and I am actually seeing results from it. So I like it.
Maybe we'll do some fun before and after photos on our Instagram. They're giving us 21% off, and that's loveindus, INDUS.com. Enter promo code LTE at checkout. Tona Activewear.
I love the pan.
They're all I want to reach for.
Everybody talks about buttery soft. These things are buttery soft. They also stay put.
But that's what I was going to say. They stay put.
And that's really important.
And when you do the squat test, they're not sheer. They feel luxurious. They feel thicker, but they're not. They're thin. They're light. They wear really well. And I've been wearing them every week.
Oh, yeah.
Also, y'all, my butt looks good in them. It does. I have to say, toot toot. I'm going to toot my own horn. It looks really good in them. We can offer our listeners 16% off with the promo code LTE at checkout. So for our listeners, go to tonaactive.com and enter LTE at checkout.
Welcome back to the Less Than Expert podcast. We're your hosts, Amanda
and Katie.
And today we are doing a South by Southwest recap. South by Southwest was kind enough to give us a press badge, so we were able to check everything out, learn the latest and greatest. The theme this year was AI, so we're going to dig into what we've learned, some takeaways, just an overview of the festival. We have also written companion pieces where we do a deeper dive on lessthanexpert.com. So we'll be directing you there for more information, more resources, and more of a thought piece on all of our takeaways from the festival this year. So let's dive in.
There was a lot that I really liked about it. I went into it kind of thinking this is going to be daunting. It's all AI. What are we going to talk about? How AI is taking jobs, how AI is ruining the environment, like all the negative things. And I was very surprised at some of the stuff that I heard that was actually good stories coming out of AI, fun things to kind of play with, and then understanding that like there is regulation coming. That was my overview, basically.
I agree. I think it was easy to go in with a little bit of doom and gloom and just feeling kind of sad that was the theme because it's just so pervasive. I was already feeling, like you said, like it's daunting to go in and feel like we have to dive in. We have a focus on the energy usage and the future of our environment, so we'll get into that. We went to a really great panel where the head of Google's creativity and AI was speaking with the CEO of Addition, which is an AI-focused organization. And they had such a different take on the output, how it can be used for the greater good. So that was a really interesting take versus, I went to Amy Webb, my favorite. She's a futurist. So Amy Webb is fascinating. You can find her entire session from every year on YouTube. She always posts it right away. Amy Webb is a futurist. And what a futurist is it's someone that is not just looking at technology, they're looking at the economy. sociology, they're looking at environment, they are looking at technology, and they bring researchers to the table. So they're a researcher, but they are also bringing subject matter experts. And she has a think tank where they are planning, and every year she sends out what's called her annual trend report. And this year she did a funeral for the trend report. It was very theatrical. She's an amazing talk. She's a featured talk, a keynote speaker every year. So she held a funeral. She came all in black with this black cape, held the funeral for the trend report. Her takeaway was, well, a trend report is too slow. I can't give you an annual trend report and have it hold up a year from now because of
AI will
how
give her a
fast
faster trend report than she can write. That sucks.
instantly. And so, yeah, so, it's, and she came out of the gate with, this talk is going to make you feel anxious. This talk is going to make you feel bad.
Oh, for
And
sure.
it should. But then, with the death of something, we can celebrate something new. She brought out the UT band. It was so fun. So they were doing their thing, going around the room, performing. And she's now released this new convergence report, meaning it's not about trends, it's about the inevitable, what will happen. And she's created a playbook for businesses and individuals on, here's what to expect. Here is how you're going to use this to strategize how to survive, how to make good choices.
And she writes all this stuff. Like, she writes tons of books, right? So where do I buy where do I buy this so that I can learn how to survive?
So she is available on Amazon. We'll post her books on the sites and in the show notes so that you have access to what she's written, as well as her YouTube links. All of her work is available online for free as well. She is just so fascinating. So we're doing a deeper dive on lessthanexpert.com. But yeah, she was very much a realist with the damage that the technology can do. And if we don't make decisions now, today, we will have this future that is very, very bleak. And just at a high level, she goes into, we're built on capitalism. Well, capitalism has served people because they work. Well, now you're going to have an autonomous workforce that never sleeps, never takes sick time, never takes vacation time, doesn't have kids. And so who's making money and where's that money going?
Yeah,
It was very bleak, obviously, the environmental
that's the daunting
impact,
side. Yeah.
right. And she went so far as to say, we've all been feeding and we've been paying to train LLMs, large language models. We've been paying to do the modeling. You're looking at headlines with even like
We're doing the work.
Pokemon going,
Yeah.
yeah, we're doing the work and we're paying the companies for it. Well, now we'll have nothing, no careers, no opportunity left. Those companies need to be paying us for the work that we've input. I mean, she even went into, there will be an even greater loneliness effect. And
Well, because
that
you'll be
people
doing
then
nothing and you'll kind of feel,
nothing.
I mean, so many people are tied to their work and what they do. And some
Right.
of it will still exist. Some of it will,
Right.
but some of it won't. And what's going to happen to those people that have nothing to do? They're going to be
Right.
depressed and sad and
Right.
lonely. They're going to need something.
Exactly. And so and what they'll probably do is turn to AI, who will then be taking your profile, everything that you've fed them, and basically selling back your therapy to you. I mean, it was just so, and again, it's more than we could go into on a recap podcast episode. So we'll have a deeper dive and a summary on lessthanexpert.com. But yes, it was bleak, but it also felt empowering to be facing truths there and to have a playbook. She gave real action, real takeaways, which, 'cause, I don't want to just hear doom and gloom and then just leave sad and have no
Yeah.
action, right? Like, I think that's what I love. And I'm sorry, I have to say, like, of course, it's a woman who's going to give us a plan, right? Instead of a man who's like, everything's terrible. Someone else figure it out. She's working
Or
on that.
nothing's wrong. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah.
Everything's fine. This isn't to replace your job. We see that a lot. We do. Um, I went to another non-AI related and interesting, and I'll just touch on this briefly. It was about empathy in the workplace and how that is disappearing at a rapid rate. And yes, a lot of that is because of AI, but corporate America restructuring, the way that the greed, basically it's greed and people losing their jobs or feeling like they're on edge. I went to a panel led by Dr. Megan Holmes, who's a PhD. She has several certifications, accreditation. She is a professor and she's a co-director of the Center on Trauma and Adversity with Case Western Reserve University. And she did a talk on your emotion in the workplace and how important it is to create a safer work environment because you are more productive when you and your team members feel safe, or just treating people like adults, having transparency, communication, that it creates a safer, more productive environment where people are more committed to the company and the goals and kind of what they were promised to, their job description was. She went through fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I hadn't heard of fawn before. I think that one was you start tiptoeing through
Oh, that's
versus
interesting.
that was a really good take. And she went into the science about, as a leader, your team will mirror your neurons. So if you enter a room and you don't even say anything, if you're stressed or frazzled, your team will pick up on that. And then that sets the energy of the room.
That's
And
so
she
true. Yeah.
Right? And what I loved about her talk is she gave the science behind it. She did talk about how this is similar. She didn't call it gentle parenting, but it was very similar with kids, right? That if
Oh,
you're
yeah. They follow your mood, they follow your lead. If you're anxious, they're anxious because they don't understand. So, and I get it. I've
exactly
had I've had multiple kinds of leaders, some anxious, some not nice, and
right,
you are always feeling very unsettled, uneasy in that
right.
area. And then I've had great leaders, and
Uh,
I have always felt okay, comfortable, supported
yeah,
in my
yeah.
role. And I mean, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? You're not afraid to make a mistake. You don't feel like someone's looking over your shoulder, and you want to contribute more. You want to bring more to the job. You're more motivated because, as we were saying earlier, we tend to wrap so much of our identity and our life force into our job. And so creating safety in the room. And she talked about repair. Okay, we're not perfect. Let's say you make a mistake as a manager or a team lead, to still be able to go back and say, I'm sorry, I could have done that better. Let's revisit that.
That's such a big
And
deal.
yes. And hey, look, the truth is, and this is my own ad-libbing that she did not say this, we are all big kids just doing adult
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
People can
So
tell me they're emotional or unemotional, and they can say this all they want, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's either in your head and you're holding it in and you're going to eventually have a heart
yeah,
attack or a stroke, or you're letting it out and
right.
you're labeled as an emotional person. But either way, it's
Right.
happening. Like, it's
Yeah.
happening in there.
It's happening in there, and as adults, we're supposed to have learned tools on how to regulate, which I think that's what our generation's better at
But
doing with our
no.
kids is yeah, but no, and we are working with people who didn't have that kind of
Suppress,
parenting.
suppress.
Yeah, exactly. And so I loved her talk. It seemed, when you were listening to it, it seemed almost obvious, but that she was saying that out loud. And I think that's what we love to do on this podcast. We love to say the quiet parts out loud. And I love that she was saying it out loud with research to back it up. So that was another really interesting talk that was not all AI. Notice I called this episode AI.
Oh, yeah,
Katie
yeah,
may
yeah.
make me change that before we go live.
Let's take a quick ad break so we can tell you about some of our fantastic ad partners that we have on the podcast. We have partnered with Aquila Sunglasses and Eyewear for 10% off of our listeners. So I will be checking that out. Have you checked out their site?
I have looked at their site. They've got lots of cute styles.
Very cute. It feels very LA, very on trend, nice styles, nice
Yeah.
options. I feel like I could be, like Hailey Bieber. Cute. I could never. I'm here for it though. Yeah, so for our listeners, Aquila Sunglasses, 10% off on their website, aquila.la, using the promo code LTE at checkout. I have been trying to find the ultimate matcha brand in the ultimate matcha coffee shop in Austin. I think I may have found a really good online option for us with Mantra Matcha. So this is premium Japanese matcha. The site is adorable. They have great products, accessories, and different matcha blends. And you can get 15% off using the promo code LTE at mantramatcha.com. Am I going to spell it for them? I am. Ready? mantramatcha.com. Enter discount code LTE for your 15% off. We found a fantastic sports bra company called Handful. Get it? We love their sports bras. I am very particular. I know you are too.
I am. Yes.
Yeah, we need something that has good support, but it's not going to suffocate you. It's not going to make you feel nauseous from having something too tight. Handful has a really great mission. They started their company to help women after reconstructive breast surgery. And they have these patented inserts that are cooling. They help shape and lift your chest. The bra itself that I got is the cute little mesh front
It is
zip
really
one.
cute.
It's so cute and it's very comfortable, but it supports me. So if I'm going for a run, I feel like I'm not going to get back pain from that. So handful.com, enter the promo code LTE and get 30% off at checkout.
So one of the things that we like to do as ladies, we love the skincare, the health and wellness, and you went to a great one on the
I
micro
did. So I went and listened to Dr. Samaras. She works at Unilever. She is a scientist there, a brand scientist. And this one really gave me hope for products in general because she talks about how brands are really digging into causal AI to figure out exactly how their products are working with our bodies instead of just trying to solve a problem or solve a stink
Mm.
or like an issue, even with drugs like antibiotics and drugs that just kind of
Mm.
solve a symptom. And instead they're using AI to figure out how to create these products that work with your body and help it and make it better in other ways so that you're not sick for the rest of your life or you're not smelly for the rest of
Mhm.
your life. And it was really cool. She's talking about some of the brands that were kind of already doing this, like Dove, which everybody knows Dove is doing that. It's made for sensitive skin and to work with your microbiome versus against it or to deplete it so that you just are in this continuous phase of rebuilding it.
Mhm.
So that was a really good one. It made me feel good about just the way brands are moving and trying to use AI to better help us instead of just costing us lots and lots of money and time and turmoil.
Yeah.
Uh, and then some of the other ones I went to were not necessarily skin and beauty. I did see a lot of health though this year, which was interesting to me. I didn't go to all the panels and some of them I was kind of disappointed. I wish I had known more about the health panels, but it seemed to
Same.
really have a bigger presence this year with doctors and caregivers talking about how they're trying to better support patients and work with insurance companies to make people's lives easier and better, and how to better work with insurance companies to point out flaws in their approval processes. There was a lot of what I could see was good to me, especially with health and wellness. And so I really loved
Mhm.
seeing that. Even though I didn't necessarily go to every panel, I saw it and I saw people there. I saw nurses there. I saw doctors there. Like you
Right.
could tell they were wearing the clothes. So that was a good feeling for me just to know that
Yeah,
they're
this
using it for that.
and so interesting because you're right. There was an influx. And I also saw, I think Lilly Health had a footprint,
Yeah.
more pharmaceuticals had a bigger presence there. It was less like always before we've loved going to the beauty expo. And I don't even think that existed this
Yeah.
year.
I
I
didn't
didn't,
see any actual products, like beauty products.
yeah,
But granted,
yeah,
this year, I think, I don't know, I felt like products were not
far and few
touted as
between.
much. Yeah. And it was more of just the overall, like the way it's affecting the branding and
Yeah,
brands.
this year was, I mean, just as an aside, this year was a weird year. And we noticed it last year too, that brands are either not showing up or they're there and they're checking a box and it's not a great experience. The the panels I think were great as always. It, it's unusual because South by Southwest usually has the Austin Convention Center as a central hub. That
It's
is
gone
being
right
it's
now.
gone. They're going to rebuild it. So that's gone. So there was no central hub. And I really felt that. And it wasn't, I think early days South by Southwest, I don't think they were in the convention center. I think it was also spread out, but it
Yeah.
was small and intimate. And it was a much smaller city still. The culture was
But I feel like
different.
early on, when it was smaller, it was easier. I don't know. There was just a better way of kind of explaining where things were. This year
Right.
felt like they haven't really refigured out how to do that yet, like how to
Right.
really tell you where things are and how to find them. Because
Right.
some of the really cool stuff that we ended up finding, I never, I hadn't seen it, I hadn't heard about it. We
Right.
just happened to walk by a room
Right.
and it was there. So I'm hoping
And
they get better
we had
at kind of
to
telling us.
I hope so too. We had to really search for things. Like they would go all the way. You'd be on the fifth floor, down four hallways to go get to
Like, in
this
a back corner.
experience. And
Yeah.
it was really weird. And there weren't enough people or signage to say, like, hey, there's more back here. So you had to really go looking for
Yeah.
something, and we were searching for it because that was part of what we had agreed to do and report on for the podcast was the brand activations, experiential. I wanted to find things that had to do with accessibility or just really great experiences. The sensory room, which was a fantastic idea. So there's a sensory room where it was dark. There was a quiet inflatable meditation pod in the middle. They
Yeah.
had puzzles. I mean, do you remember this? This was like,
No, they had like the headphones to help you block out noise, and they had things to color to calm you. And that space was so awesome. We had no idea where
right.
it was. It was buried. Now I get they wanted to be in a quiet corner and not probably in a high traffic area, but there was not even any signage telling us where it was.
And
Like we just
it
found it.
was we found it because we had met a woman the day before who
Yeah.
had shown us the bag and she was part of the organization who had put it on. And so we knew to look for it, but it was so tucked that I think for accessibility that would be very
Yeah.
inconvenient. It's not impossible, but a lot of work for someone to get to.
No,
That
no idea where it
felt
was. It was
yeah,
and buried
and we
for
just
sure.
and it was like we walked in and it was like, are we supposed to be here? It felt like it should have been a green room for the speakers because it was so tucked
Yeah.
away. I kind of struggled with that. And then some of the bigger activations, they were outside and chain link fence, and it felt very cheap,
It was weird.
or it
Yeah.
was weird, or it was like a repeat, like the Paramount House, which they take over a bar at Rainy Street. Last year, it was also very strange. It was just, they were promoting all their shows, but it was just photo opportunities. So you waited an hour in line to get 2 free drinks and a photo opportunity. It was just, and they did the
This
same
year was
thing.
a photo opportunity. That's
And
all.
when you're paying
Badges are
$1,600,
expensive. Yeah.
$2,500 for a badge, and you want to learn about technology and products, and you're visiting a city, part of that experience is you kind of are expecting to explore product or
Getting
not.
some sort of takeaway or real exploration with a brand, and there wasn't a whole lot of that.
There wasn't a lot of that, or it was like free mushroom coffee for an hour wait in line. I'm sorry, what?
Just because the freebies were so few and far between, like, actually getting them was a lot harder. Like, you had to really commit
So
to
bad.
waiting a long time for that,
It
and
was.
it wasn't
It
it wasn't worth it,
It wasn't worth it,
honestly.
and the lounges were few and far between. They didn't have free coffee. There were pay cash bars. I was like, this is, and I think that's less South by Southwest and more of a statement on the economy and where companies
Yeah.
are that they're not shelling out for this kind of event. And I'll be honest, I went to CES a few years ago. CES was the same. It was amazing, but they weren't really doing product like that. Has all seems to have stopped. Just like the product giveaways. It's now here's this little flyer with a QR code. You scan it for a demo and a follow up call.
Yeah.
And
It just seemed like there could have been more, I don't know, so much more hands-on, or
right,
it could have been some of the experiences, like there was something there, but it wasn't
right,
enough to really accommodate a lot of people. Or all of
right.
the lounges, for example, were kind of, it was just, it seemed kind of bare. It seemed like there wasn't a whole lot there for you to really dig into or learn
Right.
about. And so
Yeah.
it was kind of weird. Hopefully that'll get better. I mean, maybe it could be just
Yeah.
because they're learning how to deal with the different space and how to work with it.
Yeah. And we had feedback for their app. We don't have to get into that, but just
Yeah.
use usability for folks. Like we live in Austin, so we pretty much know our way around downtown. But if you're visiting, I would have been very overwhelmed or confused on where I was going and how to get around and going from point A to B. And there are easy solutions for that. So South by Southwest, if you want some consulting.
Yeah. Like
Sure.
there's definitely better ways, just to help people get around a little easier here.
Yeah, so that was the festival itself had, you could tell that there's been a big shift and that there are some growing pains with that. I think there's still a lot of value in going. I got a lot out of it, and we could go back into some of the panels. I mean, the other thing is this is really great for networking, and they do provide networking opportunities, but it was really just I think I find the most value in reconnecting with folks as they're coming in town. Who are they meeting with? And then, exploring what are they wanting to do and then go explore those panels. To me, that is the most valuable thing is just putting yourself
Well,
out there and
definitely. Yeah,
connecting.
strengthening those connections, because you never know what's going to
Yeah.
happen and when you
Right.
actually are going to have to lean on those connections for something. So.
In this, as we're wrapping up our layoff series in this day and age. But no, that was a lot of fun, and that's how we found a couple of talks. There was one on that the future of AI is going to leave millions of people out with accessibility because technology, we know this technology, it's not inclusive. And so I met the moderator of the panel. She's fantastic.
I wish I had actually gone to that one just because I know we work so hard to make everything that we're outputting as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
And I have never even really thought about how AI is doing that.
So one of the women I met while doing this networking is Carrie Finch. She's fascinating, the founder of AKA, also known as. She's on another podcast, which we will reference in the show notes because it's so interesting, especially if you're in advertising. We just really
She's
connected. I
fun.
really liked her. She's
She's
fun, and
fun.
she put it all out there. She doesn't hold back,
Yeah.
and she's
She's
known for
honest. And I think like that
yeah.
for me, just meeting her and her being kind of blunt and honest and open, like it just makes you automatically drawn to her
Yes.
and like want to
Yes.
talk to her and get to know her and what she's all about.
I loved it. So we had coffee and I didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was. So we were both just running our mouths, just as we do. And she mentioned she was moderating this panel. I thought, "Oh my God, of course I'm going to go." So I showed up to her panel and she was fantastic. So she's also a public speaker, presenter, she's a consultant, it's like she's natural. But she was really the panelists were good, but they were having a hard time giving specific examples. And she was really sticking them to it. Like, no, I
Love that.
explain. I loved it. She's
The best panels are where like the moderator is making them really think and answer questions on off the cuff so that I mean, not completely off the cuff. Like, obviously, you want them to have an idea of what they're going to have to talk about, but you have to be ready for those questions that you might not exactly know the answer to, and you're going to have to figure it out.
And it feels very real and very real time.
Yeah.
She made it conversational and she did it in such a professional way, but she just really wasn't letting them off the hook. It was a fascinating talk. And I loved some of the things that we got out of it is, this was a perspective shifting panel for me because we always prioritize WCAG, which is accessibility in digital design.
Yeah.
And there are laws and there's a best practices, but it is very loose. And so we tend to, especially for our clients at work, we tend to design for the lowest common denominator is the way I'll say it. Like we design for an average, right? So we make a beautiful experience and we want to make it accessible to as many people as possible. Well, one of the presenters, he's with Hypersolid, and I don't remember his exact title, but Carrie asked, well, what happens when you design for the average? And his response was instant. He said, well, you get an average experience. And that hit me so hard, like, oof, that's not wrong. And that's such a good takeaway to really be putting brain power again back into, okay, technology's changing, the footprints are changing. Are we thinking critically about the best way to make this website or the best way to make this tour activation? Yeah. And so there were 3 different panelists going through how to build for the best potential. And it wasn't just, physical, it was also designing for neurodivergence. So thinking through an experience that could, or even like a room, like one of the
Too
examples they
jarring
gave
or
is,
noisy, like thinking through all the little pieces that
right,
you don't think through.
or
Yeah.
too hard to
Unless you
access.
have some sort of neurodivergence and you're thinking through that. And so, yeah, I don't know. Oh, that begs the importance of like really bringing people into the fold that
Yes.
truly have an understanding of all these pieces.
Right. And that the rules in place they're a great baseline. We're so grateful to have WCAG and to have ADA accessibility. It's somewhat defined for us, but we could still be doing better. And they gave a great example of an office space and how one office space doesn't work for everybody, right? So let's say, and we've had this battle where we like the lights off. Someone in the room comes in and they immediately flick on all the lights. It's like, can we have a conversation about that before? A great example they gave was the room gets too noisy, right? We've all had this. The room gets too noisy. Someone comes in, they start having a meeting, more people join. Maybe you automate the lights. So as it gets too noisy, the lights start to dim so that it starts to calm the noise down and give a visual cue to people of, hey,
You're
we're
being
in
too
a,
loud.
you're being too loud, you're in an
That's
open space.
super interesting. I would love that, actually. That
Right?
drives me
And that's
nuts. And I've probably been an
yes,
offender. Honestly, I've probably been an
totally.
offender,
We all
but it
have.
drives me
Yeah.
nuts when I'm on a call and I'm trying to be quiet and then people come in the
Mm.
room and just start yelling and laughing. And I'm just like, guys, come on.
Huh?
I just need 10
Yeah.
more minutes.
Yeah, or just maybe take it to a conference room or take which we have very few of at our company, so that's I realize that's a challenge, but,
Yeah.
it was such an interesting concept because the reality is, will our company do that? No, but we could because it's really not expensive to create that kind of an experience in the room. So I
There's
was
so
getting
many
some
little tools and tips and tricks that you can purchase these days to do stuff like
yeah,
that. So that is
yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, I loved it, and, I mean, the other thing is that they touched on in this talk is that ADA tends to be a conversation that brings in the lawyers. It tends to be like a legal checkbox, right, for
Because everybody's afraid they're
accessibility.
gonna get sued if they don't find
Yes.
everything that needs to be done, but some of this stuff isn't
Right.
necessarily I mean, some of it's just
Yeah.
good to haves, and it's not gonna get you
Yes.
sued. It's
And
just
I
like a
think it
good
was
cue.
yeah, and, the common thread that I was seeing here with the empathy in the workplace and thinking through inclusive design and then the talk with AI making the world more human with Susanna Applebaum and Paul Aaron, which was about AI systems making brains more human, is that there is the side of AI where it can help make things more accessible, more human. We just have to make smart choices
We
with
have to be
how
willing
we're
to do it
using.
and willing to put in
Yes.
the work to figure it out,
Yeah.
and I think yeah, to their point, lots of some brands are trying
Yeah.
to do that, but obviously not all of them are, so
Right. And I think so this the Sue and Paul talk was interesting because you clearly have two people who are they have access to the best of the best. They are in it, they are within the tech companies, they have access to the teams who are creating the cutting edge technology and they're getting a first person view of how amazing, how accessible
how great
this
it can be.
technology is. Right. And so Susanna was giving examples like they were creating a short film and the short film was a labor and delivery story. And you can't work with a newborn baby. Working with a newborn baby is notoriously very difficult when you're trying to get a scene, or you do a doll and fake it. We've
And
all
it looks
seen
like
Twilight.
hell. Yeah.
We all know how that went. Um, and so they shot the film and then they used AI to bring the baby and to go into the mother, into the womb, into what's happening in the body, and
It
to
was really
really be able
cool.
to oh, it was so
It looked
cool.
amazing, and
I
yeah,
mean,
it made it just really show us how you can use AI and still use real talent, but then fill in the blanks where you might need to fill in the blanks, or it makes it
yes.
much easier and just less intrusive. Like, who wants to be messing with a newborn baby? You don't.
Right.
You leave them
Right. It's
alone,
such
and having AI be able to generate that is really cool because it's something people want to see, but really never have been able to see or truly experience before.
exactly. And the film was so beautiful. And they were also giving examples of real-time ads where it was more conversational. So,
Some of it
you
kinda
know,
scared me.
I
I'm not
know.
gonna lie. This one,
Well,
I was like, "Oh, this it knows so much about you." So, I don't know. Part of me is like, make sure you're really looking at those privacy settings, and if you don't want it to know that much about you, don't
yeah.
don't necessarily give it all that information. But if
It
you
also
do,
was a
then do it.
have at it. It also was such a clear demonstration that the advertising agency is dead.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm
I
saying
mean,
it.
there's just so much that AI can do, and it's only getting bigger and more
I
robust
mean,
by literally the day. I mean,
and
and so
it didn't need us. It didn't need so
no,
okay, give some
there were
examples of the
pieces.
real
There were certain roles
yeah.
that it still needs, but as a whole, it doesn't. It doesn't need the full agency
It was
anymore.
giving so there were a couple examples. One of them obviously is social media. So being able to set up a brand so that they can respond in real time, pull in the individual's username handle, have a real response within seconds instead of a social team seeing something,
Just
freaking
happening to see
out.
something at 3 o'clock in the
Right.
morning and being able to respond to it. Yeah.
Being able to
AI can do that
respond
way
and
better.
trying to get and it could do it in real time. There was another example, and this one was really fascinating. So they had digital billboard vehicles, which we've seen the taxis with the digital signage on them, right? So they had trucks around the city, and I forget what sporting event it was. It was a baseball game. And the signage on the vehicles were changing in real time
Based
based
on
on
game stats
the
and
game. Yeah, what was happening in the game. And it was pulling in information from the game, the player, the stats, what just happened.
like how
And then,
fast the pitch was and
right.
how you could compare that to other stats. It was really
And
interesting
how you
actually.
could compare it to the speed of delivery of the truck
Yeah.
with the ad on it. I mean, and that was all happening in real time. So I got up and asked a question at the end of that panel about moderation, because one of the things that we focus on is just making sure that our clients don't put something out there that's going to get them sued, yes,
Yeah.
or just be inappropriate, or are they responding, is the AI responding to something that we don't want anything to do with, right? Like, how do you control that? And Paul, who's the CEO of Addition, his response, the net was, you flip your process. So the production timeline is no longer 80% with QA being 20%. It's
QA
now
is the
your
larger
production's
percent.
that's right. So your production time is almost nothing.
Yeah.
20% is generous.
And
And
really
then
it's
your
like
QA, yeah.
making sure what your output is appropriate, is what you're looking for, just really looking into it and making sure it is what it's supposed to
Right.
be.
Exactly. Yeah. And thank you for defining QA, quality assurance. So and I would imagine too that would be a lot of upfront QA, right? Like or quality control. So you would have your legal parameters, you'd be building in, okay, these are the types of things that you respond to, don't respond to. This
Oh,
is the
for sure. Like the
limitation.
prompting
Yeah.
portion of what you're doing.
Yes.
Like the prompting portion is going to need to be so robust. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's something we're all still kind of learning, is just exactly what you need for the
Right.
prompting part of it, and all of the different language you need for that to make sure that what you
Yeah.
get is going to be what you need.
Yes, and I think just in general, I loved the human side of it. It is an evolution in technology, so it's like going from photography, from painting, right? I mean, we as humans, we are always improving and evolving. So I don't think you can sit this one out. I know you can't. And Susanna Applebaum, her final words were basically like, lean in, take, like, push in on this, because it's so amazing what you can
What you can
create.
do. Yeah.
And she's not wrong. I think that next question for us, though, was, okay, let's talk about the environmental impact
That
of
one was so
this.
interesting, and this has
Yeah.
been, I think, for both of us, but it's been very daunting just thinking about what data centers are doing to the environment, and like how AI is actually affecting the environment. And truly, I don't live in a town that's being affected by that, so I can't actually speak to it, but I know just seeing things in the news, hearing about what they're doing and like the consumption is doing to these towns is
Right.
devastating and really scary. And the fact that it doesn't seem like there's any regulation or rules around any of it.
Mhm.
They're just doing it.
Mhm.
So this panel I actually really loved because they kind of explained how this is going to happen.
Yeah. So this was really interesting, and it was hard to find. There
I
were
had no
very
idea. Thank you for telling me about it.
they did have one section of I think it was the JW Marriott Hotel had one room that was dedicated to environment, but not necessarily with AI. And there were very, very few. I saw 2 panels, and there were 1,500 to 2,000 panels and events and sessions from
No, you're
this
right.
year's South by
Yeah.
Southwest.
Okay, I remember
Uh,
this now. Yes.
yeah, I saw 2 with the headline about the environment. And this one was called Dirty Data, the Hidden Climate Cost of Our Digital Lives. So, of course, drag Katie with me, like we're going to this. There were 4 scientists and environmentalists and investors talking about data centers and what happens, the energy pull. And I think it was something like, normal day energy usage in a community might be 700 households. Well, with an AI data center, it's now
Like 60,
7,000.
yeah, 7,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we'll put in the write-up, we'll have all the science correct. And I do want to try to get these folks for a follow-up, 1 or 2 of them for a follow-up interview, because it was so interesting. But what they did is they dove into, yes, to your point, we are not heavily enough regulated. We don't follow the same rules as European countries or even the rest of the world
Mhm.
with
Scary.
our
Yeah.
it's very scary, like, our waste and the output and the energy usage in
We all
America.
just are kind of like well, America, USA especially is just very more, more, more instead of,
Yes.
whoa, let's look at how this is actually affecting us and
Yes.
the environment and like take a step back so that we aren't
Right.
overwhelming our society with it.
Yes, and creating, to your point, health issues, environmental impact because of all the heat and the water usage and how the water is brackish. It becomes tainted once it's been used or circled through the data sets, the data center. So there are ways to be 99% clean and
Yeah.
self-sustaining.
Reusing
And
reusing your waste and your output, like reusing it, putting it
right,
back into the community. And to what you just said, certain countries like India, for example, was one of the ones that they mentioned because they've already
mhm,
obviously learned this lesson and have implemented rules. But I mean, they don't allow people to build structures unless they're I think they said something like 90%
yeah.
um, effective in actually reusing what they're outputting.
Yeah, so they went into the science and the technology of how you can capture heat, the output of heat, which is just right now going freely into the environment and impacting global warming. You can capture that and you can use that, reuse it
To heat
to
homes,
self sustain, to heat homes, to
to
self
heat,
sustain the data
yeah.
center. Right. And then, same thing with the water that you could recapture water. There are ways to purify said water and then
Hmm.
keep it
Treat
self
it, keep
sustaining
it. Yeah.
within the data center. I mean, and they were talking about taking existing oil and gas technologies to be able to, let's say, drill instead of for oil, you're drilling for water in another state or an area, and then you're piping it to a safer place for a data center. So maybe an uninhabited area of New Mexico
Not right
that's
next to a town where you're depleting resources that the town actually
and
needs.
exactly. So you could pipe the water, and then if you're following how to purify and reuse the water, you're not wasting it. Everything is self-contained. So that was really interesting, and they went into the specifics on megawatt usage, and I don't think we'll
Well, and they also talked a
go.
little bit about like it's also just naturally slowing down because some of the things that
Mhm.
they need to build the data centers, it's now they're on such a large back order that it's now become a few years before they can actually get a new
Yeah,
data center built. And so
yeah,
it's allowing us time to catch up and truly try to figure out how to regulate and how to make these things
right.
better. And then I actually saw legislation the other day. I mean, I don't with the state of our government, I don't know that anything will
I
actually
know.
pass, but I saw that some senators and some House representatives are trying to put forth legislation that's actually saying data centers. You need to be able to do this, this, and this before you
Mhm.
can build or before you continue working. You need to figure out how to
Right.
do these things. And so like the panel and then immediately it was so weird after South by seeing that I'm actually seeing legislators putting forth that stuff was very
Mhm.
settling to me because it just made me feel better about it. There is actual
Yeah, there's
regulation happening.
that there is regulation and there is hope, and you're right. So one of the interesting facts that we got out of this is that it takes 7 to 12 years to set up new infrastructure like a data center or some kind of grid like a gas turbine power plant. Minimum 7 years. So these things are not going up overnight.
Yeah.
This takes
I think
th-
I'm trying to think of in my brain, and I don't think they actually talked about this, but I think the
yeah.
way it started was there were already existing data centers that they just kind of evolved
Yeah.
into data centers that could do what needed to be done for this stuff. And
Mhm.
now they've run out of resources. So
Right.
now it's taking a lot longer to actually build these structures.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one was fascinating, and just hearing their take on that there is a way forward and there is a way to bring in the community and to not pull, like you were saying, don't pull the resources directly from the community. The community needs to benefit financially and from the resources, the output of the data center. And they should have a say on that. And the other piece that I thought was so important, especially being in Austin, is they talked about how rare it is for a power grid to go down due to overusage, right? So not like a storm or yeah.
Texas is a great example of
Great,
this.
great example. So data center standard build, I said I wouldn't give you some stats, but I'm going to give you a stat. Ready? A standard build uses 50 to 100 megawatts. A new AI center, though, 1.2 gigawatts.
Yeah.
So
Huge difference.
it's a huge, huge difference. And our power generation in the US has stayed flat. So we are not, the infrastructure has not, and side note, this is why I personally have been investing in AI infrastructure and not AI itself, just as an aside. Because again, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Cat's not going back in the bag.
Mm-mm.
You have to build the infrastructure to support the amount of usage with AI. And we all hear it. Everyone's using AI. Everyone's stuffing AI into their
Oh, yeah, for
product, into their
sure.
company, right? And so the stability is at risk of our
And I
grid.
mean, yeah, Texas stability it's already at risk. It can barely handle the
Yeah,
amount of people that live here, especially when it gets really hot or really cold in the extremes.
right.
So how are they going to throw a humongous data center into Texas? And they're going to have
Yeah.
to build the infrastructure to support it. They
Yes, they
have to.
are. And they talked about how the energy grid works and how the chips have a play at how it works and how the energy, anytime you're making a draw on the energy, it does this like circulation and it's a continuous loop and it's checking systems. But the AI pool is so big, so fast that it can't
It
keep up.
shocks it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just shocks it and it goes down.
Yeah. So things will go down until it can throttle back up. But if you're still making those calls to the data center
It just
and it's that
continuously
big of
happens.
a power draw,
Yep.
we're in some trouble. Yeah. So I do think that was enlightening and it felt positive overall in that there are resources and technologies that we can tap into where the community benefits, where we're not ruining our own energy grid, and there is a way forward. But let's not be stupid. Let's start making those decisions
I
now.
know. I know. I think so many people, especially I'm guessing billionaires and business owners, hear the word regulations and they freak
Hmm.
out. But it makes it more sustainable and makes it last longer and do more
Yes.
for the community. So
And
do it.
it will cost them less in the
Yeah,
long
in the long
run
run.
to get it right now and to not have power outages and lawsuits stacking up against them. Get it right now so that we can have this technology, have our cake and eat it too, right? Like we have to make some decisions here. And again, that all goes back to Amy Webb. The decisions we're making today will impact how good our future is,
Yep.
right? I mean, this is all happening in real time, hence her convergence report instead of a trend report. So those were the panels, those were the big takeaways, our little gripes about where the festival itself could maybe do some improving.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, I thought this was one of the better years for me at South by because it gave me some hope where I didn't necessarily have any hope.
Yeah.
Truly, and not to sound bleak. I don't wanna sound bleak, but I just I liked that there was some good coming out of it, and that is really kind of what I tried to find, and so I was able to do that, and to me, that was a successful South by, and I feel like I got out a little bit more. It was confusing. I have complaints
Mm,
too, but for the most part, I really enjoyed this year, and I feel like it
yeah.
hopefully it'll just kind of get better over the next couple of years because they're gonna start to try and figure out how to make it better versus
Yeah.
going backwards.
I agree. Yeah, I think it was a really good year. It was a perspective shifting year, which is kind of the point of it. So I would say job well done. Great job to all the speakers, to the panelists, and thank you South by Southwest for the press badge. We made the most of it. We had a great great time. And then follow up lessonexpert.com, and we'll be posting this episode with all of our show notes in there as well. And then we have some great content coming up. We're wrapping up our layoff series. We have an astrology reading that we're going to be publishing next.
It can't end
So
that way.
I know, I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for a year. It's time. So more to come. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for listening to this podcast.